nvidia's CEO, Jensen Huang, just gave what was basically a 90-minute masterclass on the future of, well, everything. He laid out his entire vision for the AI revolution. So we've boiled it all down, pulled out the absolute most critical insights for you. Let's get right into it.
And it all kicks off with this bombshell of a statement. Look, this isn't just about some shiny new product. We're talking about a fundamental, ground-up shift in how computing works, and it's happening right now. Let's break down exactly why.
So, to really get a grip on this revolution, you've got to understand the economic engine that's fueling the whole thing. And you might think it starts in some giant futuristic data center, right? Nope. It starts with just one single employee. This is the million-dollar, or really trillion-dollar question. Why are the biggest companies on the planet throwing billions of dollars at this stuff, almost overnight? Well, the answer is some shockingly simple math. Okay, so check this out, and let's keep the numbers super conservative here. Let's say you've got an employee who costs your company $100,000 a year, and they generate $200,000 in value. Simple enough? That's a 50% profit margin. Now you give that employee a $10,000 AI agent, a tool that makes them just 50% more productive. Your total cost creeps up to $110,000, but the value they generate, that jumps to $300,000. All of a sudden, your profit margin skyrockets to 63%. And here's the punchline. The company just spent $10,000 to make an extra $100,000. That is a 10 times return on their investment. And again, this math is probably way too conservative.
And that famous line from Charlie Munger just hits the nail on the head. It explains everything. When the incentive is a 10x or a 20x or even a 30x return on your money, the outcome is it's inevitable. Any company that doesn't invest in this stuff is simply going to get left in the dust. It's not optional anymore.
Okay, so that's one employee. Big deal, right? Well, here's where it gets wild. That simple 10x return doesn't stay small. You take that equation and you scale it across every company, every single industry, and eventually the entire global economy. And this is the number Jensen Huang landed on. He projects that by the end of the decade, the annual spending on just the AI infrastructure could hit $5 trillion a year. It sounds insane, but when you start multiplying that little 10x return by millions and millions of workers around the world, it actually starts to make sense. You know, to put that $5 trillion into perspective, let's say Jensen is off by half. Even then, we're looking at this market growing about 5 times larger by 2030 and nearly 20 times larger by 2034. That is a compound annual growth rate of almost 40% every single year for a decade straight. Just incredible. Okay, so we've got the economics down, but why is all of this happening right now? What's the big technological breakthrough that just unlocked all this potential? Well, it's a deep, fundamental change in computing itself. So for decades, right, we've had traditional CPUs. Think of them as brilliant specialists, amazing at doing one complicated thing at a time, very step by step. But AI models, they need to do millions of simple things all at the same time. That's where GPUs come in. They're the masters of doing things in parallel. So you go from a world where a human is operating a fixed piece of software to a new world of accelerated computing, where the AI model itself is constantly thinking, reasoning, and learning in parallel. And this reasoning process, it's got a name. It's called inference. Every single time you ask an AI a question, or get it to write something, or generate a picture, it is performing inference. That is the core job, the main workload of this entire new era of computing. And the demand for that workload is it's exploding. As these models get smarter and more complex, analyzing real-time video, running physics simulations, designing new drugs, the amount of computing power needed for a single thought, a single prompt, could increase 1 billion times over. So if you need to handle a 1 billion-x workload, who on earth is building this multi-trillion-dollar engine? The thing is, it's not just one company. It's an entire ecosystem of companies, and every single one plays a critical role. See, an AI data center is so much more than just the fancy chips. You need incredibly high-speed networking to lash them all together, you need massive amounts of memory and storage to feed them data, and you need huge investments in power and cooling just to keep the whole operation from literally melting down. Each slice of this pie is its own massive industry. And you have all these specialists in each sector. You've got the chip designers like NVIDIA and AMD. They're like the architects creating the blueprints for the AI brains. Then you have the master builder, TSMC, who actually turns those blueprints into silicon. You've got companies like Vertiv handling the power and cooling, Arista building the super fast networks, and then players like Dell and Oracle who assemble and service the whole thing. The key here is they aren't really competing. They're all building different parts of the exact same machine. So everything we've talked about so far is really the how and the why of building this giant new infrastructure, basically to upgrade the work we already do. But that's just step one. That's just the warm-up act. The real revolution is what happens next. Think about it like this: the shift from gas lamps to electricity, or from propeller planes to jets. Yeah, the initial value was just doing the old thing a little better, a brighter light, a faster trip. But the true world-changing value came from enabling things that were totally unimaginable before, like cities that never sleep and global travel for everyone. That's exactly what's happening right now with AI. And what's so cool is that we are already seeing this happen. This isn't science fiction. At NVIDIA's own conference, a panel on materials science revealed that just 6 months after they started using generative AI, researchers started discovering a record number of new materials. 8 months in, record patent filings. 17 months in, record product prototypes. The actual pace of innovation itself is accelerating like crazy. And this isn't just happening in one little niche field. It is happening everywhere. We're seeing it in drug discovery, where AI is finding new molecules in months instead of decades. We're seeing it in aerospace, in robotics, and in creating these unbelievably realistic digital worlds for movies and video games. AI is unlocking brand new capabilities we just didn't have before. So here it is, the main takeaway. We are watching a 2-stage rocket launch. The first stage, the one we're in right now, is all about AI making everything we currently do way more efficient and profitable. But the second stage, and it's just starting to ignite, is about creating entirely new industries, new possibilities that right now we can barely even imagine. The question really isn't if AI will change the world anymore, but what kind of world it's going to build.